Perfect outcome to all things is assured. Yeah, perfect outcome to all things is assured. Yeah, I'm getting stronger every day because my faith leads the way. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. In every situation, there's a blessing somewhere. Come gather, brothers and sisters, and we'll see that it is there. Ooh, I need you, and you need me. Yes, you do. And that's how our happiness is guaranteed. Take it, boys.
And now, in all your doings, be you blessed. Through you is ushered in a world unseen, unheard, yet truly there. Holy are you, and in your light, the world reflects your holiness. For you are not alone and friendless. I give thanks for you and join your efforts on behalf of God, knowing that they are on my behalf as well, and for all those who walk to God with us.
Sing it with me. God. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. I'm getting stronger every day because my faith leads the way. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. A perfect outcome to all things, yeah, is assured.
Wee doggy!
And it's not the same thing without the wee doggies, is it? So glad you're here for how are all my wee doggies tonight?
Oh man, it's so nice to see everybody. Hi Jill. Oh, I see Jill popped in the room here.
Everybody coming in, popping in, screens changing.
Oh, I know. Wow.
Glad you're here. What a great
what a
homily.
glorious day.
Of course,
I know.
Cindy's amazing. Who doesn't know Cindy?
Yeah.
Is amazing.
Well,
and what I did this afternoon after all of this is I went and listened to that Regina video everybody's been talking about, the one where she recently said the big shift, the shift.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of us are like in that beautiful wake. You know, when something good happens to your friends, everybody's life around them changes, right? Have you ever noticed that? We're all, but that's why this song is like a perfect outcome is becoming so like weirdly prophetic, right? And like awakening together is oddly prophetic, you know, to what we're all doing. I benefit. You know, one of the things I started saying a long time ago was thank you for your practice.
Yeah.
Right? Because everything that you do to bring your loving presence, or that affects, the world and my awareness. You create the space for my healing, and I create the space for our healing, and we're all always contributing. So, and we bring that presence that is palpable. That's what is satisfying about meeting people. Yeah. Right? It's like, I find my joy actually in you. We learned that a couple of weeks ago, right? My joy actually is located in us. It's
as Cindy says, I love us.
The togetherness of it. What I like to say, it's in togetherness. So the togetherness is satisfied. What isn't satisfying? The construct that the world we have in our heads, right? This is like this Glen that I think that needs to be maintained in a certain way and presented a certain way, or there are consequences, right?
Well, I mean, I always love. We always love being in the sanctuary, but on Sundays, it's really wonderful to be here from the meditation all the way through to the break and just hear different people's sharing. And, you know, it's always so profound for me. And just this idea, the reason why I'm bringing this idea that, you know, releasing Glen, letting go of Yolanda. And, you know, I've actually been really struggling with that. Like, I don't even want to say the word struggling. Like,
it does, yeah.
No, it's not even.
No.
But there's
it's new.
It's new.
So it's gritty. It
Yeah.
feels, you know, it feels, you know. So it's new to go.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What, you know?
Yeah.
This is happening.
Yay, Connie's here too. Hey, Connie. And I can't wait for your song tonight, Connie.
I know
we are.
we are as well. We've carved out the evening.
We sure have. And I wanna thank John. Oh, Rona's here too.
Yay.
Hi, Rona. Oh, nice to see ya.
Hey,
Hey.
Glen and Yolanda, I just want to say, I think you're going to particularly like the sad song because Sarah is a ACIM student, so it's gonna be right up your alley. So I'm glad you're gonna be there. Thank you.
We can't wait.
You have to remember to ask her about the 12.8 pages. Whether she does 12.8 pages a week, you'll have to make sure that that's one of those questions. You know?
Yeah, you do that. When you raise your hand, I'll know what your question's gonna be.
You know, it's on everybody's mind. I know it's on everyone's mind. So.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
It's so funny. That's Glen's thing. You know,
because it's so. Yes, I've heard it before. She's amazing. Oh, wonderful,
cool.
Great.
Awesome.
It's
Thanks,
a great
Jill.
recommendation. I haven't. You know, one of the things I don't do is go search out other like ACIM teachers. You know, I generally. Like it says in the second principle, I can do that. I have my inquiry, and the Holy Spirit speaks to me. You know, the Holy Spirit speaks to me, and that's how I learn and grow. And I grow by watching you do it, right? The more people I know that it's like, oh, this awakening thing, like Regina is saying, is not so special that I've been led to believe it's beyond me. It'll happen in the future, after I die, maybe. You know, if I lived correctly, right? You know, I get to, so where is it that we live? Where is it that I'm living? And that's why I like A Course in Miracles, because it's so practical to me. It speaks to me in this this brain of my oddly specific brain of mine. So when in the 12.8 pages a week goes along with the lessons, because the lessons came first. And so she wrote the text to go after on top of these lessons. So we go through the text, and we can't leave out where the lessons are taking us in the way of in this awakening that A Course is doing. So that we get all the way to chapter 31, and we were talking about this earlier today. You get all the way to chapter 31 in A Course in Miracles, and she says, please live these principles and stop relying on somebody else to tell you how this whole world works, and go do it. You know, put the book down and go live the presence that we don't have to talk about it all the time. You can put the book down and go over the journey from here, like Regina was saying earlier. Do the inquiry, do the meditation, because eventually the meditations and the inquiries and stuff start doing you, right? Truly. And then the momentum happens, and then you're in the flow, and then something happens, and you go, "How come I never saw this before? Oh my God!" And you open the door, and it's like suddenly the light changes in right before your eyes. The whole room just clicks, and there's a new light. There's a new thing there. We've experienced that together several times, you know, on our journey. Maybe you've experienced that as well.
And so it's funny because the book, she does say at the end of the book, you can put it down and go live your life, and we reread it every year. That's where Glen comes up with the 12.8 pages, because each year we discover something different, and then it's so wonderful, you know, to take the opportunity to hear other folks share their joy of ACIM. So
so this is the second satsang we've had where someone's like, how do you can Course in Miracles wake you up?
Perhaps.
If you apply it.
Yeah. Well,
I try.
Yeah.
Do I understand it?
Anything we study.
I know. Can I stand to be present with who I am?
Oh.
And that's what it always comes down to, over and over and over again. How here can I be? So on that note of like 12.8 pages and like this, and this is really being method, right? It being like how this is what I like, what I'm beginning to like really refer to as skills development. We can do this, right? We can do this. I'm not in charge of doing it. I can't do it, right? The I can't do it, but the wholeness, the we, is already doing it, and I can relax into that. So. So we're on lesson 106. Today.
We are, but before we do our lessons for
yes! I'm always getting ahead.
Before we do our lessons, I do want to sing our sing-along, which is based on a lesson. Let's go back to the room here. Thank you. And this sing-along is something that I never tire of, because it works in every situation. It's something I contemplate over and over and over again.
How long have we been singing this song?
For years. Like for years.
You might know it and want to sing along.
So yeah. So I'll sing. It's kind of like a call and response if you haven't done it before, and Glen will respond, so you can follow Glen. So it's Let Things Be Exactly As They Are. Lesson.
Gather round, children. Bring your little stools closer. It's okay.
Alrighty, here we go. Let things be.
Let things be
exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
And you can't change God.
And you can't change God.
Let things be.
Let things be
exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
So you and me.
Live in peace.
Live in peace.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know
what anything is for.
What anything is for.
Unless I listen to.
Unless I listen to.
That still small voice.
I have a still small voice.
Telling me.
It's telling me.
This simple truth.
This simple truth.
That everything. It's for my good.
It's for my good.
So let things be.
Let things be
exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me.
You can't change God.
And you can't change God.
Let things be.
Let things be
exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
And you and me.
We'll live in peace.
We live in peace.
I'm not this body.
I'm not this body
that you see.
That you see.
I am as God.
I am as God
created me.
She created me.
We are all.
And we are all
one family.
One family.
And it's possible.
Yes, it's possible.
To live in peace.
Possible to live in peace. So
let things be.
Bring it home.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
You can't change me.
You can't change me. You ready?
Can't change God.
Cause you can't change God.
Let things be.
I let things be.
Exactly as they are.
Exactly as they are.
And you and me.
And you and me.
We'll live in peace.
We live in peace.
Kumbaya.
Is peace here? Yes, peace is here.
Yes.
Here too, right? Here too.
So funny because I started singing that song and then all this stuff was happening with my throat. Like coughing and all of this sneezing and stuff was all happening at the same time. And I'm singing Let Things Be Exactly As They Are. And so I'm just going,
Okay.
wow, how about
Call
that?
Any minute now.
Isn't that wild? I just love it. I just love how these things sync up. All right. So
Speaking of syncing up.
Let's look at the lesson.
No. Speaking of syncing up, this is so if you this is 106 today.
Well,
Yeah.
today's lesson is 106, so we're
106.
going to go back.
We're going to go back to lesson 100.
100.
And so lesson 100. See, I think it's kind of like important to like know where we are. Like, so we're at 100 days. We're at 100 days of the year. Okay, we're a little less than 1/3, right? So in another week from now, we're going to be 1/3 of the way through. Okay, so you're 1/3 of the way waked up right now. I'm just kidding.
I'll have to say that.
So lesson 100,
Not
as we're bringing us on this journey, we're bringing this journey. The journey of A Course in Miracles is like a mini processes or methods, is designed to get us to a place where the Course creates the conditions in our mind where we see what and who we actually are, in a way that we can't be convinced out of it again, right? And not a way of falling back asleep again, right? In fact, we've learned over and over again that we're kind of awaking and then kind of falling back again, awakening and then kind of falling back again, and that's the pattern that goes on again and again. Yay, Kathy!
Kathy's here.
Okay,
Hey,
so
Kathy.
that's the pattern again and again and again. So the way that the Course in Miracles works with this concept is to say there's ways that there's principles and ways of understanding this process and this oneness and the way this works that can make all this process a lot less frightening for you. For one, you have an inner teacher, and you really do want to feel better and be actionable and be connected and to be seen and heard and those things. There's a compelling thing that you want to do in the world, and it's wonderful. And you are a relational person. You don't want to do it alone. You want to have friends and family around you. You want to have a tribe and be accepted and move in this group. You have a group you already kind of do this identification with. So all these concepts of called are basically ways in which we do in our thought system, the ego's thought system, have all been perverted and kind of upside down. The Course says all the time, you live in a really upside down world and you don't even know it. And what we're talking about again and again and again, we're waking up and seeing what we think is us, and we're going, that's not even real. We can look at the concept of ourselves and the way we move through the world, and we go, wow, I used to think that was me doing all those things, or it was valuable to perform or understand or link. It's like, how did I ever? Who could have ever convinced me of that? Well, that's. Most of my life, I operated if that was true without even questioning it. So why would I be so appalled or surprised that everybody else thinks that way? Of course they do, And that's the world that I'm living in. That's the world I'm looking at in the Daily Clerk and on the news and there's things. There's nothing to do, and there's nothing.
Well, this
wrong.
was really, really interesting in the Regina video we were just watching before we came on, which is where she was talking about her big breakthrough that was a couple of weeks ago, right? As I was traveling to Colorado to be with to see Regina and the member trustees board and everybody at the retreat house, and she was saying that if it doesn't show up in your experience, then it's not for you to do.
It's imaginary.
Yeah, well, it's not for you to do, and her emphasis that we are all gods.
Yeah, she used the word gods a lot.
It was really cool because she was saying that whatever shows up where the other gods are, in wherever you are in your world,
your God to take
that's what you have to take care of, and you have everything you need to take care of it.
So that's why I bring it to lesson 100. Lesson 100 is to realize this part of the process that we're on syncs up so well. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation.
Yes.
It's like, oh, then I don't have to worry about being worthy or whether what you're doing is going to mess up my essential, you're going to mess up my plan. I can't do my plan because that's not a thing. That can't be possibly a thing. So 100, my lesson is, my part's essential for God's plan for salvation. Relax already. I mean, right? Keep going. To me. I was like, relax already. Talking to me.
And then lesson 101.
And this is what Sadie talked about today. God's will for me is perfect happiness. So again, this whole cooperative component, a perfect outcome to all things is all. It says, why? Well, it wouldn't be because I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Right? it wouldn't be because I was doing it. It couldn't be. It couldn't be. I have trouble managing my own self, getting to the bathroom in time, that kind of thing. I have enough of that. I can't deal with the whole world. Why do I think I can do it?
Oh, this is the prayer here is really good. God's will for me is perfect happiness. There is no sin. It has no consequence.
We were reading this over and over and over again when we did this lesson.
God's will for me is perfect happiness. This is the truth because there is no sin.
Nobody's making an error that's going to stop you from your ability to be present with the love of God. It doesn't happen. You can't get outside of so far away from God. We learn this over and over and over again. 102.
I share God's will for happiness for me.
Oh, right. Oh.
That's all about sharing. I mean, giving and receiving being
so
the
who's
same
God?
Thing. Yeah, me
Us.
and you and us.
God, we share my will. I want the world. I want us to be happy, and that wants me to be. It's like, oh, we're all honestly working for this contentment and happiness and satisfaction in the world. I share God's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. And my happiness is going to be linked up to what is real.
Be happy, for your only function here is happiness. You have no need to be less loving to God's Son than He whose love created Him as loving and as Himself. I'm going to read that again. Be happy, for your own function here is happiness. Your only function here is happiness. You have no need to be less loving to God's Son than He whose love created Him as loving as Himself.
That's how to be in a relationship, isn't it?
With everything.
103.
God being love is also happiness.
So where do you find happiness? In
Within.
reality.
Okay.
In love.
Yeah.
Within. What doesn't have, what isn't, what isn't hearing and physical and has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Right? God being love is also happiness. And it is a happiness I seek today. That's honest. So if you're feeling bad, be honest. It's like, I want to do this. And what I seek is, what we were talking about earlier, is the peace here and the ability to recognize it. I cannot fail. Right? There's the next line is, I cannot fail because I seek the truth. I'm doing what's natural. And I can, again, relax into it. 104.
I seek but what belongs to me in truth.
It's here for us. It's actually being given. The world is a cooperative, wants this for us. God's will for me, everything happening is for my perfect happiness. Who's resisting that?
I seek but what belongs to me in truth. God's gifts of joy and peace are all I want. And then, yesterday, God's peace and joy are mine.
That's the only thing that satisfies. And that isn't in a place, is it?
No.
That isn't in a place. That isn't a longitude or a latitude. It doesn't come on a plate from the dessert menu.
Unless you're eating my chocolate silk pie.
I do. It's like, I'll be happy when I have these things, or taste these things, or experience these things. The arrival, right?
But in this prayer, she says how to truly have that happiness and notice that happiness within you. My brother, peace and joy I offer you, that I may have God's peace and joy as mine. It's about giving.
What is the presence that you find yourself in when you arrive at me? Right? What am I giving away?
That's lovely.
Today.
And so then today's lesson, is that today's lesson? Yes, it is. Let me be still and listen to the truth. If you will lay aside the ego's voice, however loudly it may seem to call, if you will not accept its petty gifts that give you nothing that you really want, if you will listen with an open mind that has told you what salvation is, then you will hear the mighty voice of truth, quiet in power, strong in stillness, and completely certain in its messages.
How about the voice that likes you being completely certain?
You know, I read this morning, and it's just now that it's really resonating
I don't
with
have
me.
to create that voice. I'm not doing it.
Let me be still and listen to the truth. So you know what? Let's just have a moment of stillness, which I call the circle of love meditation. And today in that meditation, if you can find that for me, sweetie, I'm going to read something from Thich Nhat Hanh. And then we're going to play a song that I wrote called Home. Today's theme, what Glen's going to share with us as the main message, is centered around home and what that is, and relationships with each other. And like I've said before, you know, every time I step into the sanctuary, I understand what family is. So when I was getting ready today, I was thinking, oh, this is like going to Sunday dinner over at you know, my aunt's house or my grandma's house, where everybody's gathered, where the whole family's gathered, and everybody's having different conversations. And you know, sometimes when I was a kid, I didn't feel so seen or heard, but here in the sanctuary, it's like having Sunday dinner with an extended family, where I'm really seen and heard, and where we're all honored and seen and heard. So let's take that love into our meditation. As we gather again in this beautiful Awakening Together sanctuary on this wonderful Sunday afternoon, in a space where we co-create this unconditional circle of love, where everything that we like and everything that we do not like is included, because it's here for our good, whether we like it or not. But today we celebrate the joy of coming together as family, as love, and as home. And so in this circle now, I'd like to share this from Thich Nhat Hanh. Every one of us is trying to find our true home. Some of us are still searching. Our true home is inside, but it's also in our loved ones around us. When you're in a loving relationship, you and the other person can be a true home for each other. Blessed be. And so it is.
Do you want to know the place that's always green? Do you want to see the things we seldom see? Do you want to hear the things we barely hear? Well, I found my way there, and I can take you there. I can take you there. Home is the place that never changes. It's the love inside yourself that never changes. Home is the place that never changes. And I found my way home. Do you want to know? The way of time and space? And do you need a place? That nothing can erase? And do you need to be? Through eternity? Well, I found my way there, and I can take you there. I can take you there. Home is the place that never changes. It's the love inside yourself that never changes. Home is the place that never changes. And I found my way home. Home, home. Never changes. It's the love inside yourself that never changes. And I found my way home. I found my way home.
Okay, there we go.
Hey.
Well, thank you, everybody. Those were a lot of scenes from my
Classic.
hometown.
Yeah, Situs is.
Oh,
That's
it's a classic. It is. Yeah.
My favorite song for us.
Scenes from my hometown and from our house and my brother and my parents and Glen's family and places that we hold dear. So we wanted to share that
I know.
with
No,
you.
after we do the video and we include all of you all.
I know. I was
maybe.
just going to say we need to update the video and
I
put
know.
the Awakening Together family in it. So,
Expand,
I know,
expanding the sense of what home
What
is
home
like.
is,
What
yeah.
like and we talk about this all the time. And maybe you had to leave home once to figure out what home was.
Yeah.
Even to rediscover what home was for yourself. And like even if you're anything like me, you had to go away and find home to find it back home and when in your regular home.
Yeah, in your
You know,
family, yeah.
So in the Course of Miracles, where we are right now is last couple of weeks we've been talking about our mighty companions, and I was jokingly last week it says,
That's
if we're one, what are all these other people for? All these other people for is to create a space for our own healing. We're doing that bodhisattva move. We are creating the space for. I create the space and the presence of healing, and you do the same, and I heal in your presence, and you heal in mine, and our only function is ever to create this conditions of peace, of the break, of the, we can see the obstacles to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. He said that's what the whole function is. And we all do this in a myriad of different ways, in which I say you're oddly specific for, right? I have a function on the earth. You do. It gets oddly specific.
Yeah.
You've got to figure that. You've not figured. Let it happen. More.
Yeah.
I'm learning to say it's like let it happen. When I'm trying to figure it out, I'm in that thought system, that concept again, slipping into that concept, and like getting devoured back into the machine, and now I'm the machine again. So. In this chapter, she wants to talk. What I like to say colloquially, kind of jokingly, goes, you're going to meet the final member of your traveling companion, of your group of mighty companions, your traveling companions, right? Because we go through the world with the same group of people keep showing up again and again and again, right? Most often we love those people. Sometimes we don't experience so much,
right.
Of that. That's, but we have mighty companions around us. We travel through the world with this group of souls or things or understandings or reflections. We can talk about our relationships in many different ways. But one of the things that we as human beings are going to have to resolve or finally find some real peace around before a lot else can happen is your body. We're going to have to find some peace with our own body and physical presence, existence, eating, sleeping, sickness, death, growing old. We're going to have to make friends with and forgiveness for and understand what the physical world is, right? Because if we're all one, then the reflection of the oneness is the physical world. And there aren't any levels. So, as Regina and many of us are beginning to see the construction I've made in my head about the way that the world exists and works and operates actually isn't correct, isn't true. It's not useful to bring me happiness. If that's what we're doing, right? So, it's useful to have a healthy relationship with objects and things, right? And your body, and to have a healthy relationship with those things. So the way that the Course approaches that is to say, don't worry about it. You're at home. You're not at home in the things. The things don't make you at home. The home is your presence here and now. Yeah. And so you can let go of the anxiety about the physical world. Right? Because we want to make this project about monitoring bodies through space. Mostly our own, and the shape of them, and size of them. And we want to monitor, we're serious about monitoring this body through space, It means things when we do different things, right? What would happen if you decided to skip everywhere you went?
Now that's something he does that I had to get used to.
What would happen if you suddenly changed your whole style, that you just only decided you were going to wear green from now on? What would people start saying about you? There goes the green lady, or whatever, right? A lot of the decisions we make about who we are and what we do are based on this really imaginary construct way that the world works. And a lot of what that has to do with meaning we place on physical objects moving through space. Right? If it's moving through space in this particular way, it means this certain thing, and I need to react in this certain way, right? It just means those things, and I'm compelled. Right? I see this symbol, I must go after it. I see it because she says over and over and over in the Course in Miracles, what are objects but symbols? The world is just a symbol. Your body is a symbol. Your body is a teaching device. So there being no levels in bodies, all bodies are teaching devices. What are they trying to teach you? That your home is here, not there. In a lot of different ways. In oddly specific ways, it turns out. So, and this is a fun fact. This is the shortest chapter of the Course in Miracles. So how much do you think she wants to talk to you about how well you need to manage the physical world? About this much. Right? She doesn't want you to teach us. We're not trying to learn how to manage the world. The Course in Miracles is trying to say, you think that's what it's about, and it's not. So cut it out. You can't. It's a project you're never going to get to the bottom of, because you're never going to perfect the idea of you or this or what it is. It's never going to be enough. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be right. It's the end and the satisfaction of like, oh, I can rest now. I did enough. That never happens. It never happens. People on their deathbed all the time saying, I should have worked harder, right? Everybody knows that. On your deathbed, everybody says, I should have worked harder. I could have had more. Nobody
Really?
says that.
No, I was gonna say I don't think so.
Nobody says that. That's ridiculous. On its face, it would. Nobody does that because I should have given away more of my life to the pursuit of things and money and objects. So we need to, our arrival at correct perception and understanding, and what of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence in our life is almost always a thing. The pursuit and the management of a thing. A house, a cute body, somebody else's cute body, somebody else's house. I don't know, to be onto ourselves when we've made the solution a thing, or when we've created identity as a thing, or we've created meaning in a thing, right? So be careful about that. So here we go. It's 4 paragraphs. And the image I chose for this is a Mr. Potato Head.
And
right.
Why did you choose Mr. Potato Head?
Because the potato's the same, but you put on all different kinds of things on it, and you can make it into whatever that you want. I'll put your ears on it, my ears on it, the nose and something. You can make it whatever you want, right? And it's interchangeable. But the potato's still the potato's. Always, always, always a potato. In fact, it's called a potato head. So whatever you put on it, it's still a potato head.
Oh God, that's just funny.
So it's like we're not getting away from the way things are and the way things work. Now you can switch out anything that you want, but you're still dealing with, an object, a physical thing. It's just potato heads, ladies and gentlemen, all the way down. So that's why I use it. It's only 4 paragraphs, so let's get started. We don't have that's about
Yeah, go ahead.
a little bit. So
All right.
So here we go.
All right.
Read this bit.
I am. But first, I'm going to tell people where we are. Okay, we're
Chapter
reading,
10.
We're reading from A Course in Miracles, Chapter 10, The Idols of Sickness. We're on Section 2, At Home in God. You do not know your creation simply because you would decide against them, as long as your mind is split. And to attack what you have created is impossible. But remember that it is as impossible for God. The law of creation is that you love your creations as yourself because they are part of you. Everything that was created is therefore perfectly safe because the laws of God protect it by His love. Any part of your mind that does not know this has banished itself from knowledge because it has not met its conditions. Who could have done this but you? Recognize this gladly, for in this recognition lies the realization that your banishment is not of God and therefore does not exist. You're not banished.
I know that may sound like a strong word.
Yeah,
right?
I'll say
Banishment.
she's
But it's not hyperbole to say it's banishment if you identify yourself as a body.
right.
That is what that serious business. Your identification is the thing that comes and goes, and it's going to eventually not be. So, but I want to get in this paragraph. She says there's a law of creation here that you apparently don't understand if you think you're a thing. And the law of creation is the love of creations as yourself. That's called the greatest commandment. The love of God as yourself. The love of your brother as yourself. You know why that's the greatest commandment? Because that's the truth. I love my consciousness. It's the same consciousness and same awareness. There isn't a differentiation. Right. Like Jacqueline always says, there's only one thing happening here.
Yeah.
So the reminder here, of course, and again, Yolanda was reading, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. Nothing real can be threatened. Right back to the very beginning. Again, we're understanding getting finer and finer tuning, finer and finer perspective on nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists, and herein lies the peace of God. And she says, now you're beginning to see that it really is a choice you're making. It's a choice you're making to identify how you identify what you want to do, what you pursue, who you say you are. And if you say you're a thing, it's endless suffering. So the problem is that we have a self-imposed banishment, and that self-imposed banishment is saying I'm a thing, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And now, and you'll recognize this, and now if I'm a thing, my reason for living now becomes to perfect this form.
Okay, now I finally understand what you're getting at here. Yeah.
If I'm a thing, if I'm an object, a body, whatever, then my reason for living is to perfect this form. Talk about suffering.
Yeah.
Go to the next paragraph.
Ooh. Boy, that's what I've been doing lately, trying to perfect this form. Hey, anybody else?
I'll be happy if I have a perfect form.
I know, right?
know?
Lord have mercy.
I know, it sounds familiar, doesn't it? So
Wow.
we're on to yourself. See, this is the getting onto ourselves. And so the law, what we want to do is create. So the law of creation comes from this love of what is.
Okay, second paragraph. You are at home in God. Oh,
Snap.
that just makes me feel better right away. You are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to
Another
reality.
strong word.
Is it not possible that you merely shifted from one dream to another without really waking?
So at home in reality. The reminder is, remember the commander we were talking about? Who's determining what you're looking? Where's your? Who's got the
Attention.
your?
Your
Who's got the
attention.
lever on your believing attention? In the Course in Miracles, that function she calls the commander. And who's directing your presence? Who's directing your attention? The reminder is like being again that choice, because God's not going to take this choice away from you. You have to want it. It has to be your intent. It has to be the intent to move out of identification with form, no matter what the form is. And she makes the analogy of this dream logic. She makes a really interesting one. She says, when you dream and you wake up, you go, ha 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 ha, that was a dream. I can't fly. There are no monsters with 7 heads and 14 arms that are chasing me. That's not happening. Ha 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 ha. And yet, we don't even begin to consider the laws that we have, that we say the way the world is working. We can recognize dream logic as dream logic, but we don't question the own logic in our own head about the way that we say that the world works. Self-inquiry will disabuse us of that, but until we even have the idea that what's being said in our head isn't the honest to God truth, comes as a shock sometimes. We can recognize the dream logic, or we recognizing that we maybe haven't even woken up from our own logic fallacies, our own sense of unawareness. The idea is a dream inside of a dream.
Yeah.
So what that is, that this is interesting to remember about how the ego works. And Regina and Cindy were both pointing to this. It's this never-ending paradigm of suffering and solutions that never work because we're trying to perfect a form that isn't us. What it creates is this object inside of an 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 object forever and ever. It's never ending and you never get out. That's why she calls it exile, and that's why she calls it abandonment, all kinds of stuff. Because it's exile and banishment, because it's that serious. We think there's no way back. Well, of course there's that way back, because it's unreal. It will eventually end. Because that's a physical existence. So that logic will completely collapse when it's not given any more attention. So read the. So there's like don't. So she's again saying, I could save you time if you want to listen to the voice that likes you instead of trying to figure out how to be a better body. But you be you. It'll all be fine. It's just the scenic route. How scenic do you want this route?
Or Sina says, or I will be happier if I have
a healthier form.
Yeah.
And that's
Definitely had that thought too.
Yeah. Who hasn't?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So read this next bit.
Yeah, which I was it Easter Ganaway that died of cancer or some disease?
This is Zen Master Suzuki. When he was dying of cancer,
right?
One of his aides dropped a cup, and he turned around and said, "Ah!" When the cup was, because he said that he felt that the cup was, he had no differentiation between himself, the cup, the attendant, the tea, or anything.
Wow, that's so fascinating.
He would because the cup was there, because the cup broke.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, all right, let's see. Would you bother to reconcile what happened in conflicting dreams, or would you dismiss both together if you discovered that reality is in accord with
So I just want you
neither?
to come to the conclusions and not believe your thinking mind. So what would happen if you came up with the other conclusion?
You do not remember being awake, but you do not remember yet that it once was so. Okay, wait, hold on. You do not remember being awake. When you hear the Holy Spirit, you may feel better because loving then seems possible to you, but you do not remember yet that it once was so. And it is in this remembering that you will know it can be so again. So she's talking about remembering.
Yeah,
who we
remember,
really
it's
are.
more like
Yeah.
remembering, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you recognize the truth when it dawns on us.
Mhm.
Why? Because it's remembering, not new.
Right.
If this is awakening to the present moment and awakening from the world, awakening from conflicting dreams, right? That's what political systems are, conflicting dreams. And the method is listen to the Holy Spirit, listen to the loving presence, listen to what is real, listening to what is like intimately familiar, right? Familiar, what you can't pull out from us, the potato of the potato head. You can't pull it out. And the result is the feeling. The feeling tone is one of remembering awakened state. You go, oh, I recognize this. I've been here before. This feels better and more natural, right? You unclenched fists is all we did. The result is remembering as the awakened state and removing from my identity of form to this joy of universal presence. I am presence always as joy in this now. And she says, you're beginning, if you can do a little bit out of this, if you pull identity out even a little bit from form, what you will discover is potential. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm much more powerful and secure and okay and safe than I ever thought I was when we pull out of identification of form. Potential begins to happen. So if we feel stuck and don't know where it is, what we might begin to examine is the ways in which we're trying to solve a problem by changing the form of something. And this is accomplished again and again by choice, by making a choice again and again and again not to believe conflicting dreams. So read this last paragraph and we're about done. I love this. Read this last paragraph.
All right. You will remember everything.
Yes.
The instant you desire it wholly. The instant you desire it wholly. For if to desire wholly is to create, you will have willed away the separation, returning your mind simultaneously to your Creator and your creations. Knowing them, you will have no wish to sleep, but only the desire to waken and be glad. Dreams will be impossible because you will want only truth, and being at last your will, it will be yours. Truth will be yours.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is what I wrote. One of the biggest mistakes we make as people is that we keep trying to perfect the material world as a solution to our discomfort. A lot of time is spent on changing other people, and ourselves included. When asked what the greatest commandment was in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus said, love your brother as yourself and love God with all your heart are basically the same commandment. The Course tells us this in the method for creating. Everything that is real has been loved into presence. This fundamental changes our relationship with our bodies and the material world. We no longer have to fix other people or fix anything. Our task is to be onto our tendency to dream, to fall into form and back asleep again. Until we're able to see the broken dream logic of the ego, we'll make poor decisions. So, don't beat yourself up too bad. We listen to the voice that likes us, and sometimes that's in other people. It looks like the world is talking to us. We set the conditions for inner knowledge and decide again and again and again to look within and not for solutions without. And we find that we're not broken. We're not broken. And neither is the world. I'm Reverend Glen Ganaway, and your favorite anarchist preacher. I'm glad you're here. This is the love of my life, the Reverend Yolanda, and I want to play a song for you.
Well, yeah, but before we do that, I just want to see if anybody has any comments. Oh, thanks, Rona. I just want to see if anybody has any comments or anything they'd like to share.
4 paragraphs.
I know. It was 4 wonderful paragraphs of reminding us who we are.
Loved into existence. If you want more reality, loving presence is how we create more of what we want. Wow. And I could do that better when you're around.
Exactly. That's what we're truly finding out, is the power of us being together, you know, and on this,
or acting on our oneness, or having the presence of I like to say presence of togetherness. So tell us about what we're going to watch here, sweetie.
Okay. Well, I think hopefully this goes with it. This is another song of mine from my record Yolanda Nanda. It's called Driving Desire, and it's based on a phrase from the Upanishads. You are what your driving desire is.
Imagine a world of divine inspiration, where we all play a part in creation. This is that world. You are the one who makes hell or heaven. You are what your driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. You are what your driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny.
All right. That's it for this evening. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Love to all of you, and so glad you joined us. Thank you.
See you soon.